I was driving, and then I was standing, and then I saw smoke come up from the hood while the car was running. And then when I opened, this came off, this hose. And when I put it back, I put some antifreeze, but the engine is still overheating. I'm doing this first time, so I don't know about this cooling system, so I guess I'm gonna try to understand, and hopefully it will work. From reading online, my understanding, it could be like a thermostat stuck, and also I need this and the gasket for the thermostat. And when I opened this, I noticed yeah, it was all broke. There should be a spring here, and from my understanding, this is important, this cap, to have it in good shape. And from my understanding, for these pieces, like the cap and the thermostat, I had to get them original parts and from the a dealership, because from what I read online, that is what recommended for these parts, because yeah, if one of these fails, it's not worth it, like saving maybe to me like $5-10. So now I'm just gonna, from my understanding, I just have to understand how this cooling system works, and for me this is all new, so I'm gonna learn while I'm doing this, I guess. And so now, from my understanding, there's a tool I can rent, like in Advanced Auto, that I will use it to pump air into the system, and then if there's the tool will tell me if the pressure drops, then there will be like a leak somewhere. So I'm gonna rent this probably later, but now I just wanna look and just see what is this about. Just the hoses, why this came out. I still don't know which direction the flow goes, if it goes here and then comes out down. But from what I understand, this should be out and this will be in at the bottom, but I'm just, yeah, still trying to understand this. Now I thought about it, since I'm here and I left the car. I couldn't bring it home because I was 11 miles away. I didn't want to drive it with overheating, so I left it here and far from home. But now originally I thought I will rent a tool, Advanced Auto, to test the pressure, but now I think I'm gonna remove this piece, and from my understanding the thermostat is somewhere here. I will remove it, and then I'm gonna try to take it home and see if it doesn't work. Then for sure I have to replace it, and then I'll still bring the tool to check the pressure. And another thing, when I had this hose come out and all the antifreeze came out, I didn't know, but from reading, there will be bubbles inside this whole system, and one of the reasons for sure there was bubbles, because I could hear water in the cabin kind of splashing inside the cabin, so I need to somehow fix that as well. I have removed this piece, the intake, I guess. So what I did is remove this was attached here and just disconnected this and move it to the side. And from my understanding, this is where the thermostat goes. And from what I read is that the fluid goes from engine and then goes to the radiator if thermostat is open. And if it's closed, I'm assuming it goes back through this hose back to the engine. And so I think my problem is that this was stuck, but I'm also confused because from what I read, usually the hot antifreeze goes on top and then exits from the bottom. So I don't know, but here's the opposite, I guess, and I don't understand why this came out. I guess there was too much pressure here, which will be the opposite. Like if it cannot go through here, then there will be pressure load. So maybe I'm confused. Maybe it comes through here and goes back. So I'm not sure. But I remember when I was running it, I put my hand here, and it was hot. So it was hot here, but it was cold here. So now that tells me that the hot air comes through here. I guess that makes me even more confused. Then I guess, yeah, now I'm not sure, but I guess I'll find out as I go along. Remove this hose, and I can see there's antifreeze here coming out, and then I realized that I look under the car and there was no antifreeze, only the one just came out now. So I'm thinking that I probably don't have, like, maybe it's a good sign that I don't have a leak. Like, what I mean is like somewhere from radiator or something like that, from my understanding. So maybe I don't need to rent a tester tool, just kind of replace the thermostat at this moment. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, and another thing I read is that there's like a heater core. I guess that's the thing that hits the car, so it can get clogged over time. So the car has over 300,000 miles, so I'm assuming maybe also the way I understood, I can disconnect this cable and like put a hose and put hose with water and just kind of run water through it, and then it should come up, put another hose and then into the bucket, and I should maybe clean that as well. Okay, so I'm not sure how this works. I went and I got a wrench, 12mm, and I'm gonna try to fix the car now. If not, I'm gonna bring my tools tomorrow from my home. But from my understanding, reading online, that this does, the hot fluid comes here and then exits here. Before I thought it would be the opposite, and now also I read that I have to have car on the incline little bit, so when I remove bubbles, the front needs to be higher than the back. It's recommended, and here is actually sloped, so I'm gonna put the front of the car here and back there. And so I'm gonna put this back, and move the car to prepare. So I have removed this hose and antifreeze came out, and that makes me think that there's a flow coming through here, going through here and something is getting stuck here. I'm assuming something doesn't pass through. Connected the battery. I'm not sure if that matters, but I was thinking, since I'm working with all these in this part with the belts, maybe that will help. And I removed the 3 bolts. Now I'm gonna try to remove this piece. Maybe I need to use one of these. Seems like it's coming out now. Okay, so I need to remember how it came in. So yeah, I guess this means it's stuck out. From what I've seen, I can test this by putting it in like hot water. Maybe I'm gonna do this in a second. I have removed the new thermostat just to see, compare. So I guess this goes like this, and this, from my understanding, this piece needs to be on top of the top of the car. This, I'm not sure what's this, like a breather. And I'm gonna remove this now. So I have put the gasket on the new thermostat, and I'm just gonna leave it here. And this is the part one 634650010, and this is the part for the engine cap, and this is the part for thermostat. Okay, I think that's a good sign that it's not opening. So if this was working, this should open. The spring should pull back, but it's not going. So I'm assuming it means it's I need new thermostat. Yeah, definitely it doesn't seem like it's working. So another way, from my understanding, I can test is put this in water, then I won't damage it if it's good, but I decided to do it this way. I've tested this spring under, put some heat on it, and from my understanding, this, it's still hot. Like this spring should open. I guess it will, if this working, it will just kind of go backwards. Yes, I'm not sure, like this, I guess. Or maybe like inside. It's still hot, but it should contract backwards, and it didn't. So I'm gonna assume I need to replace at least this, so I won't feel bad replacing it with new, since this sim doesn't work. And if it's something else in addition to that, then I'll look for it, but definitely need to replace. So I'm gonna have to, from what I read, I have to clean this here, maybe like sandpaper. Maybe not, maybe just a little bit. Just clean it up, and maybe alcohol and this, rubbing alcohol, and just clean it nice. And maybe I will put instead of this clamp, I got this clamp, so maybe I'll use that. I'm ready to put this back, and the way I understand, the way I took it out, this piece was on top, and this spring goes inside the towards the engine. Okay, I just need to make sure everything is good. Seems good sitting. Okay, I think it looks good. Looks good to me. And then this, and then put the bolts. So I'm gonna replace the hoses, clamps with one of these. And so what I did here is I just cleaned it, the hose, and then sanded here, and then put some alcohol, and then just clean it. And from my understanding, the car has over 300,000 miles, so I need to replace this. I guess this is the original, so I'm gonna replace this hose when I change timing belt, this and radiator flash for later. Now just to keep it running. I have put everything back, this part, and then there, put back the intake. And from my understanding now, I need to bleed or remove bubbles from the system. And from what I read, I need to put like something like this. Oh, there is a special tool, I don't have it, but I'm just gonna put tape around it, and then put antifreeze here. This is, I don't think it's big enough, so maybe come up with some other idea. But I'm just gonna try and see what happens. Antifreeze here, and oh, not good. I'm gonna lose some, but I don't know what else I can do. And then the idea is that I'm gonna be running the car, and there will be bubbles coming out, and if the bubbles come out, that means there's some air left in the system, so I need to do this until bubbles are gone. Putting tape on top, I had around it, I have to put tape on there on top of the this red thing, and then put it around it. So the idea is the car, and the way I understood, I have to put this in temperature high, and then put it low, and then I went back to the and added antifreeze. So once I started, all the antifreeze gets sucked in from the tube, and then I added more. And now I'm just looking at the gauge, and just going back and going here and just making sure if it's gonna be low antifreeze, I'm gonna keep adding it, and then from my understanding I can like kind of do this with the hose, and then there will be more bubbles. Have to be careful with the fan, so I'll put my gloves. I also have goggles on when I do this, just in case. So I'm just gonna do this for now, and then maybe add more heat now. Have driven for around 20 miles and no overheating. Everything seems to be working fine. No engine check light, so I guess thermostat fixed it, the problem.